Hey guys, I'm the Coaster Keat, and before we get into it, let me just set the stage for this 15-minute challenge that we are about to go through. So imagine, you woke up late, or you just had all the rest of your classes. It's your very last class of the day. You feel exhausted. You have this nagging feeling in the back of your head that there was something that you were supposed to be doing, but honestly at this point you just don't care anymore. You just want to get through this class and get on with your life. You walk in through that door, your teacher gets up, stands and addresses the classroom saying, "Good morning," or afternoon, depending on what time your class is. Today, as you all know, is the day you are going to be giving your speeches. You have 15 minutes to finish preparing the information that you have for your speech, but make sure that it does not go under 10 minutes and does not go over 15. This you should have been preparing for some time now, so I'm sure that this 15 minutes will be enough for you to get one more rehearsal in before your final performance. Anyways, thanks for listening. Your 15 minutes begin now. You, as a student, have of course not started this project because, you had a million other things to do. And so now begins your 15-minute challenge. The topic today, turkey. With all of that being said, we are here with our timer, 15 minutes on the clock. Also in our supplies is a Post-it note, a pen, some out of the very Powerator if we get thirsty, and just this search bar, which we have to use to try and get all of the information we possibly can. So let's begin, shall we? I realize I'm a little bit frantic right now, but that's fine. So the fire alarm went off during that video. To be honest, I'm surprised that it hasn't gone off in a video before, but obviously I had to evacuate because it's a federal offense if you don't. So now we're back from the fire alarm, so we're going to just go ahead and pick up where we left off. Sure this timer is going. Oh yeah, it's going. Okay, well, where the heck were we? Okay, so here is what I have to work with. I ran out of space on the first post-it note. I don't know how well that's focusing for you. I ran out of space, and so I went up here. And so this is what I get to take up with me for my presentation, which starts right about now. Okay, let's do this. So, turkeys. We all know turkeys as the traditional meal that you get at Thanksgiving. Some of the more geographically astute of you may also know Turkey as a country. Well, let me tell you that this difference isn't actually as big as I first thought, or as probably you first thought. You might have thought that, I don't know, Turkey just kind of evolved simultaneously as the name of this new country and the name of this bird. However, it is quite different. In fact, the name Turkey actually arises from a very simple misunderstanding. You see, the Europeans did get something called the turkey, which was an actual turkey which crossed over the country of Turkey to get to their land. That's where the name came from. Because the birds were Turkish, they were called turkey. However, when these European colonizers got into America and they first saw a guinea fowl, they thought, that actually looks a whole lot like those turkeys back home. In fact, I'm sure of it. That right there must be a turkey. And so this bird was then named and proclaimed the turkey for all future generations. Now, it turns out the mistake that they made isn't actually that bad. You see, both the turkey and the guinea fowl come from this superfamily, which is called Phasianoidea. So, Phasianoidea is the superfamily that this comes from, and there is a more specific family that is the Phasianidae, no O, and that is actually what the guinea fowl is a part of. As you can see, it's in that same superfamily, but because there's this very specific niche that turkeys have kind of narrowed out for themselves, there's this very tiny difference between the one with an O in it, which is the superfamily, and the one that doesn't have an O in it, which is not the superfamily. That's just the family. Talking about turkeys and their etymology, one starts to wonder about their biology. After all, what the heck is that thing that's coming from their neck? And turns out, if you go on the internet, that thing should be censored. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but it is called a snood. And turkeys have been known to get into fights with one another where they will peck and tear at each other's snoods. This results in bloody fights, and as a Wikipedia article like to completely revel in, this also leads to cannibalism, as they actually rip the thing off of the other bird and end up, I guess, accidentally eating it. Which, when you think about it, is kind of gross and disturbing, and when you look into it, is even more horrific, gross, and disturbing. So don't look into it. Take my word for it. That thing, if anyone ever asks you what it's called, it is called a snood, Snood. Now, if we are going to move on to the country of Turkey, because I'm sure you all are wondering a ton about this random foul-named place that is called Turkey. Well, you know what? There isn't too much interesting about Turkey, or should I say there's a lot that's interesting about Turkey, but perhaps one of the most fun things that I have heard talked about over the period of time is Turkey's infamous hat law. Now, I know a lot of you are probably lost right about now. How can you have a rule or a law about hats of all things? Like the thing that you put on your head, there's a law about that? Yes, there is. The Turkish hat law was instituted in 1925. as part of the measures of that current government to make what it wanted to call the new Turkish people. It was kind of a form of state building where they actually prevented people from wearing fezzes. Yeah, the thing that all the conspiracy theorists wear, the little red cap with the little fluff thing on it. Yeah, so they were actually banned from wearing fezzes because that reminded people too much of the old Ottoman Empire that Turkey kind of used to be the capital of, or at least the core nation state of, and instead they were forced to wear more Western hats because, after all, Turkey was trying to become a more Western country. Another interesting thing about Turkey that you've probably gotten wrong, or at least perhaps didn't consider, is its capital. Now I'm going to give you a second, or a few seconds, so that you don't really think that I'm just trying to buy time, which I totally am. Okay, so that is your guess at Turkey's capital. Now let me know, was it either Constantinople or Istanbul? Istanbul or Constantinople, it's Istanbul or Constantinople. Yeah, no, you're wrong. If you thought that, you were wrong. If you thought that it was Ankara, you are absolutely correct. And the reason for this, and the reason you're probably confused, is not only that song, but it's also the fact that Istanbul or Constantinople was actually the capital of the Ottoman Empire, not Turkey. The reason for this is simple. If you're trying to create a new empire, it's a little bit hard when you're still in the buildings and in the exact same land as your old empire that you're trying to throw away is in. And so they decided to go ahead and move to a slightly more centralized location that is the present-day capital of Ankara. Now, if you ever get that question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you won't be duped in picking Istanbul or Constantinople. You will know that it's Ankara. Always remember, Ankara is the capital of Turkey, because I sure didn't today. Alright, so now I would like to go ahead and go back to people, because people are interesting and people are the ones that actually create our society. So how did it come to be that turkey, the bird, not the country, came to be the actual food that's most closely related to Thanksgiving? There's plenty of choices for this spot. There's like geese, there's chickens, there's fowl of every kind. And the reason I bring up fowl is because those are actually the only choices that we have. You see, what we actually do have as an account of Thanksgiving is Edward Winslow's writings. Now, Edward Winslow was a pilgrim, and he was one of the signers of the Mayflower Compact, which you might have heard of as being kind of one of the first things that kind of created the whole democracy idea. I will like to point out that one of the very few stipulations in that compact was to remain loyal to King James. And anyone know your American history? Anyone? Did that work out? Yeah, I didn't think so. And his description of these birds that were eaten at this meal as wild fowl also didn't work out too well for him, because he needed a few more descriptors in there. It was because of that very loose terminology that the turkey was kind of able to sneak into this spot that geese or other wildfowl would have more suited and are probably more likely to actually have occupied. And instead, this kind of concept of the turkey went ahead and came into the American Thanksgiving culture. Nowadays, we go ahead and we eat it with, mashed potatoes, gravy, some cranberry jam thing, if you're into that, which I am absolutely not. You guys can have that all to yourselves. But way back in the day, turkey wasn't roasted. They didn't roast that thing. Nah, turkey was boiled in lightly salted and peppered water, and then taken out and placed and served with some nice sour crabapple juice. Ever want a nice sour tart taste with your turkey? Well, crabapple will actually give you a much more authentic and real flavor than the kind of fake cranberry that we've tended to pair with it. So, if you do happen to have a nice little cranapple tree in your backyard or a farmer's market where you can go ahead and pick some up, go ahead and serve those puppies boiled in a little bit of water to create their juice alongside your turkey, and you will get an extremely bewildered, probably not that thankful, but they're forced to be thankful because it's Thanksgiving set of guests. And so that is all I have concerning the turkey. Thank you very much for listening. Anyways, I've been the Coaster Keat, and if you enjoyed that, go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button, commenting below, or subscribing. If this video creates more subscribers, I will create more videos like this video. It is that simple. I'm a very simple person. Also, likes are a fantastic way to let me know because I can easily go ahead and scroll through and be like, oh, that video has a ton of likes. We should probably do another one like that. Also, if you want to go ahead and try this challenge for yourself, feel free. I would love to see your videos of it. I will say that for your topic, you should definitely have someone else choose it. This topic was submitted by my friend Erin, and I think that it went decently well, but it should be a topic that you know next to nothing about so that all of your research can just be done right there on the spot for even more stress and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So go ahead, submit those videos, and I hope that you guys soar high and enjoy your ride of life. Bye!